Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Kevin Michel. I'm back again with another video. Today, we are going to talk about making loops. I'm going to show you my 5 steps on making loops. These are my 5 steps, but with loops, there's really no guide or no rule book to making them. But these are my 5 steps that I usually use when I'm making them, and it keeps everything consistent. It helps me to always kind of navigate on making loops. So, without further ado, let's be great. All right, so we will be making a loop from scratch. The first thing that I do is I always just create chords first. It sets the tone and the vibe. So we're just gonna create some chords. I'm just gonna navigate through some chords, and then we're gonna record it. So I think I'm gonna go with that. So now that we have our chords, this is still in the first step. What I like to do is after I have my chords, I like to layer them with a different sound. Another quick tip is when you are creating chords, you want to keep them as simple as possible because I find that it keeps room for you to create and stack sounds and stack different melodies. So I am using Teletone audio for my piano. I am going to do a review on this plugin. Dope piano plugin. If you don't have it, go get it. But just wanted to add that in there. So now I'm going to add another sound that's going to kind of complement that piano to make everything kind of stick. All right, so now that we have our two sounds, this kind of is like the ground and the foundation of our loop. I actually like to bounce everything in place. For my Logic users, you're just gonna right click and just um, name each track. The reason why I do this, it keeps everything clean. I like to just add effects after. We'll talk about that later. But adding effects and everything, and it keeps everything clean. And workflow purposes, if I'm just banging a whole bunch of loops out, I want to be able to export this right away. All right, so the second step is to add a melody. We are just going to choose a sound that's just going to make this pop. The melody is probably one of the most important things of the loop and find. I'm using Omnisphere just because I use this often. Right, so now that we have our melody, it kind of puts everything together. Obviously, I lowered down the volume a little bit, just to still keep that vibe that we initially had. But this is a good vibe so far. One of the things you could do, you could always just change the sounds, depending on what you're going for. But I found that this is the perfect fit, and it's the best glue part that we can come up with. So the third step now is to add effects. This is my favorite part. I think this is where the dynamics come in, and it gives the loop character. So you can add reverb, distortion, any type of effect that you feel fits the loop and the vibe that you're going for. So what I did is I added halftime to the melody and the piano. The pad was a little weird, and that's the beauty of this. Sometimes things don't work. Sometimes you need to mute them. Sometimes you could take this part and add it to a different part of the loop. So we're gonna mute that for now. I'm going to actually speed this up. I feel like it's a little too slow. All right, so now I'm going to add Effectrix from Sugar Bytes. If you don't have this plugin is probably one of the best plugins for making loops. It has all the different effects that you can put in on a loop. It's amazing. If you don't have it, go check it out. Just gonna add some stuff in there just to give this a little bit more dynamic and character. All right. That's our loop as of now. So just to give you like a quick rundown of what I did. So I basically chopped up. Um, I think it was the melody. I chopped it up. I reversed it and chopped it up, and it gives it that bounce feeling. And I think that's just a dope. Like that's just a dope vibe. And I cut it up and I tried to match the progression, but also kind of bounce off the progression. And I think it came out really nice. And I added the one knob filter from Waves. If you don't have this plugin I think is just one of the best plugins ever. It's just simple, super simple, but super effective. So that's for the melody. I added halftime. And then I added this Tape Mellow 5 from Arteria. This is also a dope plugin. It has that tape effect, and you can kind of bring in the noise and the wear and tear of the tape machine, which is kind of dope. And it's like a low pass and high pass filter. I didn't use that, but there's just so much here that you can use. There's different presets. I didn't really use any presets. Well, I did use this preset, and I kind of just tweaked it a little bit. I didn't do too much, but I really love this plugin. For the piano, again, I added halftime, just a half speed, and then I added Effectrix. I just did that loop at the end, and I also, on purpose, I left this part right here empty. The piano can really cut through with that loop part. But I forgot to mention in the beginning of the third step that I usually do. I usually EQ as I go along. So that way I'm creating room for different frequencies and different effects and different things that are going on. Also, I forgot to mention for the third step, I pitched everything up +6. I transposed everything. I find it sometimes that hearing a different key helps me out. It kind of unlocks a whole different vibe. What I do for my fourth step, and I always do this, I always add a bass line, like a sub bass. This could be any type of bass. I usually use a Moog bass off Omnisphere and other basses, but this bass in particular I really like because it just fills up the loop and fills up the music whenever I tend to use it. So we're gonna add the bass line to just fill up the loop. Another quick tip that I have for step 4 on adding a bass line, I usually have about 2 bass lines usually because I feel like that adds more variety, more dynamic. I like when people listen to my loops to have like a variety of sounds and a variety of a feel and a vibe. So this is our first bass line, and I'll switch it up for the second one. Right. So now that we have our loop, this is like 80-90% of the loop. Our fifth step that we are going to do now is to arrange and to add any other additional sounds or effects if needed. So I think at this point you can kind of just listen and see what vibe you're going for. You can always go back to the MIDI information that you have and create and add more layers to the loop if you want to. I'm actually thinking about adding some voices, some different shouts and chants and that type of thing. So I arranged the whole loop. I added some vocal parts to it, and I kind of just like balanced everything out. Just a quick tip: when you are doing a loop, you want to set the tone with just the melody, and maybe just the chords at first, and then as the loop goes on, you want to kind of build. But also another quick tip: you don't want to add too much to the loop, because then again, this is a loop that you're using or someone else is using, so you want to give space for the person to create and feel like they can add to it. Let me know in the comments what you typically do when you are making a loop. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Let me know what you think of this loop. Also, I will be coming out with a loop pack of my own pretty soon. This loop and many others will be included, so be on the lookout for that. So until next time, be great.